Welcome to the World Championship Air Race Podcast, giving you the behind-the-scenes look into the World Championship Air Race. My name is Alex MacPhail, and I'll be chatting to guests from the air racing community all around the world. Make sure to subscribe on your podcast platform to keep up to date with our latest releases. Now fasten your seatbelts, prepare for takeoff, and let's get airborne. Well, good day to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex MacPhail, and this is Airborne, the World Championship Air Race Podcast. I've got a very exciting guest. The most famous Japanese pilot, Yoshi Muroya, joins me today. Yoshi, how are you doing today?
Very, very good. Thank you very much. How are you, Alex?
You're doing well. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to have the 2017 Red Bull Air Race champion, and I can see beautiful airplanes behind you. I can read the one that says Lexus. I can't see what the other one says. But certainly a beautiful, beautiful backdrop there. I presume you're in your hangar in Japan.
Yes, here is my hangar. It's in Fukushima prefecture in Japan, and that is my aerobatic planes, and also there is the race plane there.
Yeah, it is nice. And obviously, when we zoom into this kind of detail and we see a champion, you've been racing this season, this series for 2009 is when you began. So more than 10 years now, and the progress to be a champion in 2017. You've got a couple of airplanes, you've got your own hangar. It's easy to forget that it didn't always begin there, and that we all start our journeys with the first step. So let's go back to the journey of the first step. You started with the gliding training first, I believe, as a more inexpensive way to learn how to fly. So before you started gliding, what was the appeal? Where did you see flying? Was there flying in your family, or was there an air show that you used to attend as a youth, or how did you get into that in the beginning?
Actually, my father, my parents, nobody flew before, no pilots, no aviators in my relation. But, when I was a kid, as a Japanese guy, there was always anime as I grew up. One of my favorite anime is called Gundam. It's a robot flying in a space and fighting with the robot each other. Then that cockpit is, it looks really cool to the kids. It's like a airline pilot cockpit. Then I was dreaming to be a pilot of a robot, not airplane that time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was really, dreaming about to fly the robot in a space that day.
Okay, well, so Gander, the anime robot, it's interesting sometimes where you get your inspiration. I'm sure if the creators of that program anime knew that just their drawings and their entertainment led to there being the first Japanese pilot champion, they would, they'll be very chuffed. They'll be pleased with that news. Have you contacted them since becoming so prominent in the aviation circles?
No. But it's called Gundam, but Gundam is still very famous. It's already 30 years ago, or maybe 40 years ago, but still famous. And actually, there is actual size of the robot is displayed in Tokyo now, so many people know the Gundam well. And maybe some rumors said some guys making actual size of the robot to move, maybe not flying, but going to move soon. So I'll be very excited if it's moving. If it's moving, I'm gonna fly, not fly, maybe walk with a robot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is great. But I mean, I can relate to, as being a child, seeing these kind of images. It's fascinating to see such a beautiful cockpit that can, it gives you these possibilities. Mm-hmm. You're seeing this robot fly, but you're seeing all the dials, and it's a very exciting thing to imagine yourself being in a cockpit. As a child, I traveled as a youth. My father lived in another country, and we traveled to see him. And I got to go and see the cockpit of the Boeing 747 several times, going up and down across Africa over the night. And Yeah, I mean, there is just some wonder and fascination with flying. So that this anime got you attracted to it, and what's the first steps? How do you go about? You tell your parents, just like I see on TV, there, I want to learn to fly now.
Yeah, actually, it's about same as you. When I'm in elementary school, I I had a chance to travel to my grandfather's place and take an airline flight, and without the parents, I'm alone
Yeah.
and take an airline flights. Then cabin attendant take me well. Then we getting off the airplane very last. Then I asked, cabin attendant, can I see the cockpit? Then they said yes, yes for the kid that time. And
Sure.
I'm getting to the cockpit. Then I went, wow, this is exactly same as the Gundam cockpit. Then I changed my mind, and until then I want to fly the robot, but actually that time I decide, I want to be the pilot and I want to fly this machine in the future. Then I'm start really dreaming about the flying the plane that time, and just spent elementary school, but there's nothing happening in elementary school, and no aviation background for me, so nothing happened. But when I get to the junior high school, maybe I was 13 years old, the movie Top Gun is broadcasted. Then I went to see the movie with my friends, and that was cool, It's
Very cool.
the pilot is really cool, and the aircraft is cool. Then pilot, society, community, everything looks really cool. Then I start to remind me, I want to be the pilot. I decided before, but now remind me really try to be the pilot that time. Then I start, to think about be a pilot very seriously that time.
And so having seen the Top Gun movie, what about the options of joining the military in Japan? Is that something that is common? Did you know anybody that had joined the military? What is that sort of, if you're in the United States or United Kingdom, it's quite common that people think about joining the Air Force, etc. What is it like in Japan? Is there a similar thing?
It's very similar. Maybe many people think about the military pilot or airline pilot. With the big choices, just two. And if you graduate high school, maybe you can join the pilot course. But I am not much interested about the military itself. I'm interested about flying, but not so much interest about fighting
Sure.
to some people. So then I decide to go to the university. After the university, if you want to, then you can go to the military also, but chance will be open for the airline also. So I decided to go to the university.
Okay. And then you went across to the United States to do your initial bit of glider training. Is that right? Whereabouts in the United States did you go to?
Yeah, actually, when I get into the university, then I joined the glider club that time.
Okay.
Then I start flying, actual flying life start from my age 18 to start gliding in Japan. It's a glider club, and the school owned the university. Then there's a training facility for the student, so we can fly very cheap. So it's really good to start to learn the flight. But there is 40, maybe 50 members in a club. Then we have two-seater. So we have to wait for long, just waiting a whole day, then maybe have one flight.
Oh, no.
And if there's no thermal, it's finished in 5 minutes. So it's quite cheap and nice to learn, but I keep my frustration. I want to fly much more, but not much flight. And I spent 2 years in a glider club, but I did maybe 3-4 solo flights. I think it's maybe 100 launches.
Wow.
That's it. So I decide, okay, I want to fly really much more. So I decide to go to US. And that time I have not much information about how to get the private license.
Okay.
There's no internet that time.
Yeah.
So I just decide, okay, there's some rumors. There's a lot of flight school in US, and it's maybe much cheaper than Japan. So okay, then I just got that information. Then I got the ticket to the LA, and I just go to the LA to get the private license. Then I got the license, luckily, but it's really hard to get the license. And that time I can't speak English almost zero, so it's very hard to understand the training itself. I have the glider background, so somehow I can apply knowledge about how to control the sticks and rudders, but it's very, very difficult to understand what the instructor said.
Okay. So by the time you got to Los Angeles, did you have about 30 or 40 hours, or how many hours in gliding did you have by then?
I think about 10 hours total time in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you're learning to fly.
All the flight is just 5-6 minutes.
So now you're spending your time in Los Angeles learning the English language and learning to fly at the same time. That must be quite a challenge.
Yes, the challenge, so it's double difficulties, of course, the private license is not easy, and understand the English is much more harder than me, maybe more than the flying. So the life is very hard to survive at the beginning, I can't get into the hotel, or I can't, get the lunch order, or can't get the dinner, or I can't buy anything. So everything is very, very, tough life to be in the US.
But it does set the scene nicely then for you, Yoshi, that you are, if you're committed to something, you have to take a lot of work, hard work. You don't back down to the challenge, and you're not scared of hard work. Clearly, you had to go through learning a new language at the same time, learning how to fly. Then that'll set you up nicely for your future aviation endeavors.
Actually, that was a very big experience for me. Actually, it was my first travel to abroad. So I have no idea what the world is other than Japan. So I was very shocked, There's culture different from Japan, so different. Everything is different, so very, very difficult to understand why they do, the things not like Japanese doing.
Wow. Okay.
But but the instructor is, very, very nice instructor. Actually, when I watch the Top Gun, there's an instructor called Charlotte. It's a blonde, beautiful lady instructor. It's coming up. I was dreaming about, having a nice instructor when I get to the US. And I'm dreaming. Then actually it happened, when I get to the US and find the flight schools, and then the instructor is assigned to me, then it's a blonde young lady is coming
Very nice.
to me.
Your dreams come true.
Oh, that's dreams come true, but I can't understand her, what she's speaking about. But she's, very, very sweet by looking, but it's like devil and flying. So it's really, training is really hard. She's very young and not maybe experienced instructor, so it's very strict, everything. So the training is very, very hard, but it's really good experience.
So when you went to the United States, was your plan, did you book an amount of time you're going to be there, 2 months, 3 months? Did you just say, I'm going to stay there till I get it right and get my license? Or what was your plan when you went there?
Actually, I stay about 30 days there.
Okay.
I did the also the part-time job to earn the money to go to the US to get the license. So my limitation is by money. So the budget limit is about 30 days for the hotel, everything, and the flight fees. So I have no chance to extend my staying days, training days. So there's only I have 30 days be there. Then I made it made it to get the license. So I was so lucky to get the license in a month.
Okay, so you managed to get home with a victory. You got something that you achieved, and you went back to Japan. And then, did you carry on with the training then in Japan side, or did you then hop back to the United States again to do more training?
Yeah, actually, I got the private pilot license, airplane, and get back to Japan, then continue flying glider in university.
Okay.
Then I did the gliding, the private license for the glider, got in Japan, then do some like a student championship in gliding championship in Japan. But also at the same time, I've been to Los Angeles once a year to get more flight experience. And I think I got the like instrument rating in university days, and more flight time. Just build up the flight time in US for another 2-3 years after my first license. Then I graduate the university, and I was thinking I go to work to the normal company, or try to get into the airline, or go to the military. But that time, economy is really bad in Japan. Then airline didn't take any pilot, new pilot at that time. So no chance to be in airlines. The military also is very difficult to get in. The paperwork is really hard to get in that time. Then I was not much things to do, just doing part-time job. But then I've been to some competition. It's called the Breitling World Cup. That's a freestyle aerobatic championship. That was held in Japan. It's 1995, so I was 22 years old. Then I watched the flight, aerobatic flight freestyle. Then I'm shocked, really amazed about the flying. That time I have already had the instructor license for the glider, so I'm like I was like a king in the glider student glider board. The instructor is like a king, So I'm becoming a big-headed guys, and I'm strong pilot, already. Then I watch the flight. Then they broke my head, big head. My skill is like a tiny bit. It's almost nothing, like mosquito flying. So I realize my skill. Then I decide I really want to be a good pilot, a good skilled pilot. Then I really decide to be there. Okay, let's become a world champion for the aerobatics, like air race kind of flights. And I really really had the strong motivation to be the world champion.
Okay, so another interesting point there. So I see on your shirt you got a Breitling sponsorship. So it all began in '95 watching the Breitling World Cup, and again one of those full circle moments where later on you have a relationship with Breitling. This is why I say you should definitely track down that Gander robot company and just have a chat with them, because there's inspiration along the way, and sometimes people don't realize I mean, you may also not realize the inspiration that you have to young people around the world watching you, particularly people from the East, the Asian folk. But, just maybe there's someone just down the village who's seen you or just seen you fly over or post or anything. And we don't always realize the influence that we have on people. But coming back to the World Cup, I mean, it is a fascinating thing to see that you've built up your own status. You feel good in this little community you're in. You feel like you're an instructor and you're making progress. And then to see some other discipline and realize there's so much more to learn. So to go on to compete then in aerobatics, was this something you signed up right away and you said, this is it, we're going to go and do aerobatics now?
Well, that Brighton World Cup, there's my two favorite pilot. One is Patrick Paris and one is Jurgis Kairis. Patrick is from France, and he is a Brighton pilot. And the Patrick is flying Cap aircraft. It's a French-made aircraft, aerobatics. And Jurgis Kairis is from Lithuania, and he's flying a Sukhoi, aircraft. Those two guys flying it differently, very, very much different to each other, but both of them are flying so strong, Then at that time, Patrick won that competition. Then Jurgis was second. Then Jurgis Kailis is my favorite pilot from then. Then Jurgis is doing it very differently from the others. Actually, Sukhoi is a little bit different concept aircraft compared to those aircraft, behind me. That aircraft has a big radial engine with a big propeller and a very fat wing. So very different aerodynamic characters. So flying very differently. I think the Sukhoi is very difficult to fly like a rampage hose. Very, very difficult to fly precisely. But once you're tamed, she's a hot chick, But very, very difficult to fly, precisely.
I like the way you
I
describe
knew it after maybe 5 years, but at that time, I was just watching like, wow, it's can't happen, I can't believe, how they do that flight, just amazed me a lot. Then I decide to start training, but I have only, maybe 150 hours total, maybe 200 hours total, and the private license plus instrument rating or something, but it is almost nothing for the aerobatic pilot. Then I've been to US to get aerobatic training in the same airport in LA. Then I start, serious training in the US with the Pitts aircraft.
So that's the next aircraft that you went on to aerobatic was the Pitts.
Yeah. Yes. And in US, I trained with the Pitts. Then the instructor was very, very, nice guy named Randy. I think the Michael Gurian was instructed him also. It's a very famous instructor at that time. And he motivated me a lot, to go more advanced training. I think after 10 hours of aerobatic training, it's almost nothing, maybe but he suggested me to go to some competition. That year was 97. There was an advanced aerobatic champion in US, Kansas City. Then he invited me to go to the advanced world championship. But I have only 10 hours, and the championship is coming in less than a year.
Oh, he invited you to participate.
But
Did
I
he,
have no idea how
was he
is
inviting
my
you to
skill.
participate in the championship? Oh, wow.
Yes,
Well, I mean,
participate.
that's kudos to you. If he saw something in
Yeah,
you
yeah,
that was
yeah.
valuable.
So it's not
Yeah.
just go watching.
Okay. So what did you do? So you got a year to prepare for this.
Yeah,
Did you go? Did you participate?
yeah, yeah. Finally, I participate. It's I just clear the qualification, but it's very clear the qualification. The skill is not really competing. It's just to get more experience. But it's really nice experience for me. The level of the pilot is so different. I trained as much as possible at that time. Then I feel getting stronger and stronger. Then I feel much more stronger pilot before, like 1 year before. But actually, if I compete there, it's so different level from the top pilot that I realize, how I need training more to be the top of the advanced class, and there's another unlimited class to the world champion. So I realize it's far
Oh,
away
okay.
to get there.
But
that
if I
time.
understood you, we broke up a little bit there. But if I understood correctly, so you went for your training with Randy, who was also a student of Michael Goulian. He was very inspirational. You got 10 hours of training on the pits, and he recommended that in a year's time you must compete at the World Advanced Aerobatic
Yeah.
Championships. That's a stellar growth in your
Yes.
aerobatic career.
So that's yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I don't know why, but Randy said, "Oh, you can be a world champion." So he said me sometimes, and I just believe that word. I have no doubt about that word, and that just still keep my motivation going ahead. Is that word? Yeah, I don't know why he said so. He,
Okay.
but I still remember that word that time.
And then did you compete in the pits? Which aircraft did you use for the Advanced World Championships?
Yes, at that time for Advanced World Championship, I flew with the Pitts S2B, and
Okay.
yeah,
Nice aircraft.
yeah, very very nice, but very difficult, compared to those new one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did it step up then? So after that, that was obviously a taste of something wonderful.
Yeah.
Now you've got a taster and you just want to get more and more and more. So how do you move on then from there onto the next airplanes? You obviously start thinking about, I need a more competitive aircraft. How do I own my own aircraft? Getting some sponsorship, someone can assist you with your paying for the flying. How did you start building the business around Yoshi and becoming a world champion, etc.?
Yeah, after the world advanced championship, maybe 3-4 months after the championship, my instructor Randy crashed and passed away. It's crashed with the aerobatic aircraft. Then I realized there's a danger in the flight, and I was young, so I can't accept. Then I maybe stopped flying for 2 years, no aerobatics, and it's very hard. I spent a hard time to earn the money. I spent all my days and day and night with the part-time job, all of the work, working in like cafes and bars and gas stations and moving companies. There's so many work I did, so it's very physically hard, and also felt fear about the flying, and
Yeah.
I'm not. Then I can't keep motivated for maybe 2 years, but after time flies, then I'm again, oh, maybe I want to fly. Then I start slowly back to the training, and I decide, okay, I'm getting close to 30 years old. Then I have to decide my life. How treat my life, which way I'm going. Then I decide, okay, I want to do it in Japan, but there's no aerobatic aircraft in Japan. So, okay, I have to buy it. Then I decide to buy. Then I was dreaming about flying like a Yugi Skyris. So I decided to buy Sukhoi, Then I bought the used Sukhoi 26 that time. Okay. I have, of course, no money. So I'm asking my friend to give me money, not give me. I will
borrow the money, yeah.
Pay you back. Some days I can't guarantee anything, but I am going to pay back to you. So I get, trying to get the money, and it's about maybe 250,000 euros, something, used aircraft. I bought it, and the plane is coming Japan here, my place, then start flying. But I get the plane, but there's no cash for the gas, and no instructors. No one knows how to maintain the aircraft. No mechanics. So everything is very difficult to fly at that time. Sure. And I'm asking sponsor to the company. Maybe I call 2,000 companies by myself. Just calling the companies. Can you sponsor me? Then I have this plane and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But nobody knows me. Yeah. nobody knows aerobatics, so no one had interest about the sponsoring me. So it's a very difficult time to spend to get to start flying. Even though I get the plane, then maybe it takes 6 months. Can't fly with the plane. Yeah. But there was some TV program. It's some small companies president, sitting 3-4 president sitting on the table at the TV program, and some young guys coming to present something to get the money. Then the cash is on the table. Then just give. If the presentation is really nice, the presidents are giving the cash, on the table at that time. And there is one young lady showing up on the TV, and she's asking about, I want to be the aerobatic pilot. I have no experience, nothing. I have no planes, but I want to be the pilot. Then one of the guys, the president, give the cash money to her. Oh, that money is mine, I have plane. I'm ready to fly. And she's not ready. She got the money. She got like 50,000 euros.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is for me. The next day, I called the company. I watched the TV yesterday. Then I have plane. I have Sukhoi. I'm ready to fly. I can do the air show. So I also want to have cash money.
Okay.
The guy is a very nice guy. I visit him another next day. Then he said, okay to support me until you get the big sponsors. But luckily, I get some cash for the fuel. Then I start flying and start in a little bit air shows slowly. Then trying another world championship, unlimited class, and do, some more training flight. And after 3 years, I have a chance to sponsor from Red Bull Japan.
Okay.
Actually, the Red Bull Japan start that time. There's no Red Bull, in that time. Okay. Then Red Bull Japan launched in Japan. Then they are looking for some organizer to help the Aries demo event in Japan.
Before we get
That
into that,
time, Peter Bezinet.
before we get in, I want to
Yeah.
talk about this, but before we lose the train a little bit here, Yoshi. So you went to America without knowing the English language too well, and you learned to fly and learn English at the same time. And then later on, you come back to Japan, and there isn't any aerobatics. There's no aerobatic aircraft. There's no aerobatic school. And not only are you going to learn to do aerobatics, but you're going to start the whole aerobatics movement in the country. So, I mean, you've demonstrated quite clearly on more than one occasion that you're not scared of hard work and giving it a go. And if there's a will, there's a way. And the fortuitous TV program that you see where they're giving out money for someone to learn to fly aerobatics, these are just great examples of sometimes it's not going to be, and most of the time, it's not going to be easy. And you're going to have to figure it out. And there's no path ahead of you. No one has shown you before what to do. This is something you have to create. And, sticking at it long enough, you manage to convince some people. I think it's a great example of just saying, if I want this, I'll have to make this happen.
Yeah, it's very difficult to explain, but if you really want, and if you're really hoping, and the acting, straight to the dream, I think that some people is watching, those guys, and in some stage, some people will help you if you're dreaming seriously and moving ahead very seriously. That was happened to me that time. So I was, spend a very many hard time, but then I just stuck for months or year, can't move any more forward. But still working hard to go ahead. Then I think then some people just coming to help me. Then I was, always, feel, oh, I'm lucky,
Yes.
Why this guy is coming to just showing up in front of me. That kind of, scenario happened in many, many cases for me. But for now, I can maybe understand, that mechanism, I feel some people is really, serious about to do the things, what they want to do. Then I feel, feel the motivation and feel how they are serious about it. So I did spend out so many times about that, kind of history. So I know that feeling and I got a same feeling, let's say, same frequency from them, then I want to help them a lot.
Well, that's great, the opportunity to give back. But okay, so now you've managed to get hold of Red Bull and Peter Bezinet and that whole experience. So I'm guessing that you were central. Were you a Red Bull athlete at this point, or were they just giving you some further help towards, being on the airshow circuit, etc.? How did that start of these the air races in the East? How did that begin then for you?
The first year I was just helping the organize the event.
Okay.
I was calling 2,000 company. Then some people knows me. I can organize the event. I did a big, skytyping event 1 year before, or some event company guys knows me about it. He can do some aviation event. So I just, taking care of the event and not as a pilot, but Peter Bezinet want to come to Japan, then I can do the permissions and I can do, the organizing, the airport, everything. I can do it for the aviation permission. So I just helping to the Bezinet to fly. But that time I was asked to the Red Bull, I have plane, Sukhoi 26. Then I have a little bit of experience about an air show. So can you give me 5 minutes to fly the show in front of the Bezinet?
Okay.
Can I have a chance? Then I asked them. Then I have no guarantee no fee paid.
Yeah.
But I asked them to fly. Then I show 5 minutes air show. Then I think the Virginia had recommended me to be the Ripple athlete, maybe the potential aerial pilot. That time, then my sponsorship starts maybe 3 months later. That flight.
Oh wow! So
and I'm supported from the Ripple Japan and open the door for the airless pilot.
So that 5 minutes, you obviously sold yourself very well. You know, your elevator pitch, 5 minutes. Just watch me once. That's all I ask. Just give me one opportunity to show you.
Yes, that 5 minutes. I trained a lot. Super seriously. It's the most serious training I ever had. But
again,
the 5 minutes flight is,
Yeah, it was 10 years and 5 minutes because it didn't start there in 5 minutes. It started the 10 years before when you saw these opportunities in front of you. Okay, so was this about 2007, 8? What time was that?
It was 2006.
2006.
When I'm dealing with the Virginia's flight. Then in 2007, my sponsorship start. Ripple Japan sponsorship start 2007.
Okay.
Then I can do, I can be as a pilot, competition pilot. So I don't need to work for the part-time job anymore. So I can concentrate about the flying, and I have enough gas to fly.
That's nice.
So I did that. I did train a lot from 2007. And I'm asking about, to be the aerial pilot. I know I need to have much more training to be the top of the unlimited pilot. So I'm asking a lot about having training camp in Europe with a top instructor, top coach, to be really the competition pilot. Then it's that dream coming true in 2008. Nominate as a potential aerial pilot and start training with the Matthias Dorlader and Matt Hall and Pete MacPhail. Those include me, 4 guys training for 10 months in Europe.
Wow, okay. So it's solid training as well then. And then 2009 is your inaugural season. Yoshi, it's fascinating for me to have these conversations, and we've spent a lot of time on your background and your build up to how you got to where you are now. It's intriguing to see that there's so many different race pilots and everyone has their own story. There's no cookie cutter mold to get, you go here, then you go there, then you go there, then you're a race pilot. Everyone has a very unique story. And I think for 2 reasons. One, this is not an easy thing to do. It's complex. It requires quite a specific skill, but also aviation's expensive, and you don't just get to fly these expensive airplanes. Every minute costs a lot of money. So it is fascinating, but I want to jump into the actual racing of it now. So when you got into racing, you'd come from quite the strict aerobatics background. Now racing isn't quite like aerobatics, although there are a lot of similarities. How do you experience that 2009 season?
2009, the race started. There was a plan to have a training camp for the rookies. There's 4 rookies, Then I think it's 2-3 days training camp days for the rookies, special camp in the desert. Yeah. But just before the training camp start, the big sandstorm coming and all the pilots gone.
Great start.
All the basement gone also. Yeah. Everything gone and all the training camp canceled.
Yeah.
So the first race is, start from the real track. So it's very, very hard to fly, just go through the track. I think I can't fly through the course, maybe just before the qualification. I just, flying something, but it's I can't get through to the end. So it's very difficult. I remember it's for me, very, very difficult. And I feel maybe this is not possible for me, That's a feeling. But at the same time, Matt Hall, be on the podium from the first race. so I felt so different, the skill. Even though, in a rookie pilot, for me, it's very, very hard to fly, just go through the track.
And if you compare that feeling of being difficult to going back to when Randy said you must take part in the advanced aerobatics with that pit special, which one did you feel was a difficult first challenge? Which one was more? Which one made you feel this is maybe not for me the most? Was it racing or that aerobatic championship?
Yeah, the first competition with the pits for advanced is very good question. It's about the same difficulty for me. So it's like after 10-hour training, go to the advanced aerobatic championship. It feels like far away, but it's about the same feeling when I had the first race in Abu Dhabi 2009. I felt this is maybe not for me, and maybe not possible to race. Yeah,
at least you had something to fall back on, knowing that you felt that feeling before at an aerobatic competition. And now you know that you overcame that and you improved and you got a better aeroplane, etc. Maybe you could fall back on that skill of saying, well, I'm able to learn this and I can improve. Okay, so you mentioned flying the pits in the advanced aerobatics was very difficult, and possibly this racing was a similar kind of feeling. But at least in racing, you could look back on a time in your life where you had such a very difficult thing to try and get on top of, and you did get on top of it. So there's some comfort in that, knowing that even though the race didn't go well and you don't feel good about it, you faced these challenges before, and with enough training and effort, perhaps you can overcome this too.
Yeah, I was saying, I will come over and I can do well in the future. Mm-hmm. But actually, my feeling that time is, this is maybe not for me. It's too hard to come over. Yeah. It feels really difficult to fly, actually, that time. So I think it's the most challenging, flight I ever had before.
Okay, well, it's good to put it into perspective. And then, how long did that feeling last? How was the next couple of races that season? How did this unfold for you?
Actually, 2009, the last race was okay flying. I flew without the penalty. I think I got the penalty, maybe 10 seconds for each race. So it's far away from the first guy, Yeah. But I think in the last race, I didn't have any penalty. So I think it's the first time for me. And that feels, for me, it might be possible in the near future, but it's not far away. It's far away from winning that time. So I'm not competing. It's just flying in a track that time.
Okay. And
next year, 2010, is about similar, but I still keep motivated to be faster pilot, and we do more modification about the planes and ready for more competitive teams. But the skill is not ready for flying strongly. So I broke plane, and I got up many of trouble that time, 2010. That I didn't have a good time.
Okay. Okay, so 2009, 2010 are seasons where you actually had to learn the skill of being a race pilot. At the end of 2009 and 2010, was it even guaranteed that you were eligible to race again the next year? Did you know that if you just showed up, there'll be a chance for you to keep competing, or was there ever a feeling of this chop coming where you had to get some points, otherwise you weren't going to be considered for the following season?
Actually, 2010 season ended surprisingly. Suddenly, it's finished. So, including me, or the race pilot, lose jobs.
Oh, yeah, of course, that was in the break camp. And it was for about 3 years, there was no races. Yes,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But at that time we don't know, how many years break will be coming. Maybe it's a 1 year break, maybe 2 year break, and we have no idea at that time. But I believe, the race will be back. There's so many audiences, a lot of TV, coverage, a lot of fans. So I believe the race will be back. So I decide, to have more training when the race will be back. Then to build the skill, it takes time. So I know it from my experience. So I just start training from 2011 to be a more stronger pilot then ready for the race when the race come back.
Okay, all right. So there was a good opportunity for everyone to go away and regroup and come back. And so then when the season picks up again, it was 2014, the races started once again, and now there's that masterclass level below, the challenger class level below the masterclass. You're already established as a credible first-tier race pilot, and there's some junior people below you. That must have given you some comfort knowing that you've graduated through the ranks, as it were. And how did you approach this now? You had your off time, but you continued training. How was your experience, the sort of second round at it, as it were?
I compete the Unlimited Championship, Aerobatic Championship in 2011 and 2013 also. 2011, we got a big earthquake here. That's a big disaster here. So it's very hard time we spent here. It's tsunami and nuclear power plant explosions and the earthquake itself. It's very, very hard to fly the sporting aircraft. I can't train almost nothing in my place. But I decided to go to the championship in Italy. I tried, but no instructors. And the aircraft is rentals, so no idea how to fly. Then the competition is not going well. It's the worst position I ever had.
Oh dear.
So I did training, but it's a hard year 2011. But again, I kept training, still then challenge in 2013 for the Unlimited back again, and building my skills. And I feel, okay, I'm maybe ready for the race that time, 2013. When we announced that 2014 the race will be back, and I felt that, maybe I'm ready for the race now. Then the race start 2014. Then the first race was in Abu Dhabi, the flying the track with about the same aircraft in 2010. But I feel quite okay, comfortable in the track. I can see the pylons and I can see the course where to fly. So I'm start competing the race from 2014 actually. Then actually the second race in 2014, I was on a podium, very first podium in Croatia. So the training, training days in the break, 3 year break here.
They're paying off now.
That helps me a lot, to be a strong pilot.
Yeah. And then you had a couple of good runs of the seasons building up to your World Championship. You had a couple of sixth place, I think, in the season. What would you attribute the difference between the 2015-16 season to 2017 when you won the championship in terms of the difference in your approach? Was there big changes in your aircraft? Was there big changes in your routine? Was there big changes in your mental game? Did you have a stronger tactician? Could you put your finger on one thing that was the big difference between 2016 and 2017?
Yeah, I can explain a little bit. If I explain everything, everyone will copy the tactics.
Don't give away trade secrets. Yeah. They're all listening, by the way. They're taking notes. I've noticed that everyone's taking notes from everyone else in case something slips. Yeah. You have to be guarded.
Actually, 2015, I felt, I'm okay to race, to be ready, competing, the race.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the aircraft is, H540 B2, the older version.
Yeah.
It's about 1 second different from the new version. I can't, beat the new aircraft guys or very experienced, good pilot guys. The aircraft is not good enough tonight. So I decided to buy the new version 3, H540.
This is 2015.
Delivered.
2015, you had the difference, or 2016?
I feel different in 2014 than I purchased in 2014 than the new one delivered in 2015.
Okay.
Actually, we have the race in Japan very first time in 2015. So very first home race will be coming. Then I decide, I want
to
be a competitive.
Yes.
Then I decide to buy the aircraft.
Okay.
Again, no money, but
we'll make it work.
Somehow I can deal with the money. Yeah. A lot of work to buy it, but somehow I got the plane. Then the new aircraft to debut in home race 2015.
Okay.
Then the aircraft performance is, maybe possible to win, but the pilot skill is not ready for the win 2015. So it's coming to the 6th place or something, but it can't get onto the podium. It's very difficult to get into the Final Four or just be good in the Final Four is very, very difficult for me that time.
Okay.
And end of 2015, I'm getting better and better. And that time, there's a G limitation is a bit different from now. That I was physically strong, so I can pull a lot of G's. Then I found a way to go faster. Maybe nobody can copy because it's very hard for the physically.
Okay.
Then I'm going faster and faster. The next year, 2016, okay, maybe I'm ready to the podium, but regulation changed. I'm playing a little too hard, and the regulation strict about the G limitation. The rule changed. Then I have a special technique for that to be in the Final Four, but can't use it. Then it's still struggling to get into the podium. But 2016, aircraft is maybe enough speed to win, and the pilot skill is sometimes good, sometimes not enough. But everything is matching perfectly. Yeah. I can win, and I show 2016 very fast win in home race in Chiba. So that happened in 2016. Okay. Then I show
the potential's there.
Potential to win the competition. Yeah.
Okay, so the upgrading the aircraft made a big thing, and so but 15, 16, 17, you had the same aircraft those 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have the same aircraft, but it's developing a lot. So we do a lot of R&Ds, and so developing aircraft, more and more from 2016 and until 2017, 18 also. But aircraft is going much faster and faster every year. If we fly the same track, then we can compare the time. But every year we maybe go faster half a second. It's a huge difference for that race, environment. So aircraft is going much faster and faster. So it's the same aircraft, but the performance is not the same. Yeah.
All right. So the continual team improvement. And did you also go down the route, chatting with Matt Hall a few weeks back? you talked about employing a tactician from who used to be in Formula One. I know there's a very strong racing culture in Japan as well. Did you also go down that route, getting someone involved in motorsport racing to be tacticianer? Did you do any of those kind of changes as well?
I got a good, race engineer, tactician named Benjamin Freerab. His background is aerobatic pilot, unlimited U.S. team pilot, and a good pilot, but also, he's a good engineer. And at the beginning, he has not much idea about how to, build the tactics to win, and how to engineering, the racetrack and race flying, but he's working hard for a year. Then he's very, very good at for race engineering in all directions, not only the flying and the aircraft technologies and like simulating, and in many aspects he's good at. And he's building a team strongly. The team's structure is getting really strong from maybe 2016. And then we get into the 2017. We won one race in 2016. Then we know we have a potential to win the championship now. Then I know the problem with the pilot, stability, I was not good enough, controlling myself, the concentration, nervous control is not good enough, I know very well. I did, mental training quite a lot, and building up my skill to control myself. It's not only the flight skill, but I did a lot of training for my control myself. And in 2017, it works very well. And the team structure is getting much stronger. Aircraft go faster, and race engineering going well. And the pilot is
consistent.
Okay, stable.
So bring in a bit more consistency, and then it starts to deliver the results, and the good results string up together to build a championship.
Yeah, but at the last two races in 2017, I did a good race, but before there's three mistakes, big mistakes in the season. So I lost, many points from that, mistake. And the last race was Indianapolis, and I was second place, 4 points away from Martin Shonka. So it's a tough situation to get to champion that year, but luckily, I got a good flight, and luckily I become a world champion.
That's wonderful. I want to ask you one more thing on this World Championship, and then we're going to wrap it up with some rapid fire questions just to tie it all together. I'm a follower of Formula One as well, and I can remember at the time when Lewis Hamilton had won a lot of championships, and Nico Rosberg then won a championship, and he retired after winning the championship. Set out to achieve something, he did it. And he just said he was mentally and physically exhausted after giving everything for that year. Did you experience something like that? This is a big goal that you went for. You got it. Did you feel at the end of that year and coming into the new year that you used up a lot of energy, and the fight is now different? Or how did you experience the season after winning?
After becoming the world champion, it's a different world. And actually, it's kind of exhausted. Very difficult to explain, but if you walking the bridge, the bridge is full. It's not connected to the other side. There's nothing, ahead. You're walking to the end. It's a world champion place, but people just pushing me. You can go more. You can go more. Then how are you going to do next year?
Okay.
So then I just say, to be the world champion again, there's nothing I can say, at that moment. So it's not easy to control myself. Maybe it can't, feel until you get really be the world champion. So it's very special feeling for the champions. And I know that the multiple champion like Lewis Hamilton is maybe 2-3 times more stronger than
Sure.
single champions. So multiple champion is another different monsters, that I learned from one-time world champion.
Yeah.
So I feel it in 2018 that I decide, okay, I want to be the multiple champion,
Okay.
So my mental strengths and team structure should be maybe one step higher to be the multiple champion. So that's a new motivation for me to be strong, to train and compete, with the big guys, That was a 2019 feeling, and I felt a strong motivation again in 2019.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, and it definitely is a whole different skill set. You go from this idea that I want to do this kind of flying, and then there's a new thing, and then I want to do that kind of flying, and there's the advance becomes unlimited, racing becomes win becomes a championship becomes a multiple championship, and so you can build. But you've proven many times in your career, Yoshi, that no obstacle in front of you is going to stop you. You just have to figure out the way through. So last couple of quick rapid fire questions, and we'll wrap it all up. So at the end of the race weekend, you've had a good weekend. It's been a lot of fun, and the curtains have come down. What is your go-to meal? What do you enjoy to eat at the end of a busy race weekend?
Race weekend, I don't go anywhere. I just have the breakfast in the hotel and the catering and lunch and dinner. So
okay, there's no preferred meal.
Special dinner happen in the race day.
Okay.
But once I get back to Japan, I love to eat ramen and dumpling, that's a noodle.
Lovely.
I love it. So the ramen is my favorite.
Okay, great.
And if I won the race, I give the bonus to me to order the dumpling with the ramen.
Okay.
That's a special for me.
Your special treat. And then next question. Over your career of flying, there's lots of different airplanes that some look beautiful and some fly beautiful. But sometimes you look at aircraft and you think maybe that doesn't look so good. Which aircraft for you is the most underrated? When you look at it, it doesn't look so pretty, but actually when you fly it, it's a wonderful thing to fly.
I flew North American T6. That's old warbird type aircraft, the single engine,
Lovely.
big radial engine with a big propeller. I'm flying an aerobatic aircraft, so I did a lot. Underrated. The aircraft is, slow, heavy,
noisy.
roll rate is not good, and maybe no fun. And I just get in the cockpit and fly. And the canopy is, it's round type and sliding, so we can fly with the canopy open. Then after takeoff, I open the canopy, then feels like she's nice,
Yeah.
I feel the same frequency instantly. This plane is, it's nice. I think I married her, when I born, like special frequency I feel. So that's my favorite, one of my favorite aircraft. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of them flying around in South Africa. We call them the Harvard, the T6. It is a lovely aircraft. It's got that very distinct sound too, and they very regularly fly over my house, and I often tease with my young boys. You hear one flying over, I say, "What's that?" I say, "That's the Harvard." I say, "Well done. Yeah, you understand the sound of it." So it's a good answer. Last question for you, Yoshi.
Yeah.
If you could only own one aircraft for the rest of your life, which one would it be? Any airplane.
Well, yeah, I won't build my own plane. My engineer can design the aircraft. So the race aircraft, my race plane is good enough to be strong, to compete strongly. But there's many idea about to be better. So my dream is to build my own aircraft, and then fly all over the world.
That's a good answer too. Build your own airplane, fly around the world. That's wonderful. Yoshi, it's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation with you. Great to hear your fascinating background, and I wish you all the best for the 2022 season.